Bond and I live in Butler County. I've personally lived or had long, prolonged stays in Allegheny, Crawford, Lawrence, and Montgomery counties. Though I've been to each and every county, all 67 of them, my address has largely been in Butler County, which is the county immediately north of Pittsburgh. It is home to many things, including the first Jeeps, the New York Yankees farm team from 1935 to 1942, and the funnily named Slippery Rock University, which more people seem to be aware of than I would think possible. Within Butler County is the small town of Harmony, which I spent the majority of what we could call my formative years living in. I've told a few personal stories about growing up there, and I believe we've spoken about the Harmonists, the religious group that founded the town in 1804, just before leaving for the wilds of Indiana 10 years later, deciding then to return and resettle in Beaver County, just northwest of Pittsburgh and probably about 30 miles maybe from Harmony that we speak of right now. Here in Butler County, east and west, Harmony is sandwiched between Routes 19 and Interstate 79. Through the center of town runs Route 68, and beside this road, toward the eastern end of the town, is a strange walled-in area. This ancient-looking wall appears a mystery from the road. If you were to walk to the large stone wall, you would find a door in the shape of a stone tablet. It's one of the most interesting sights in town and a relic of the Harmonist Society, for it is the Harmonist Cemetery. If you visited this, you might not immediately recognize it as a cemetery, unless you were to read the historical plaque which stands beside the stone door. There are no tombstones, save for one which was only reluctantly accepted by the society. I'll come back to that though. Right now, let's talk about this door. When the Harmonists left for Indiana around 1814-1815, they had sold the town, excluding the land on which the cemetery lies. Here rest the remains of about 100 society members. At the time of their departure to Indiana, there was no stone wall. The Harmonist Society returned to Pennsylvania over in Beaver County, about 30 miles away, as I had mentioned earlier. They returned to Pennsylvania in 1824, establishing the town of Economy. A few decades later, just before 1870, the society hired Mennonites living in the old town of Harmony to construct the stone wall that now surrounds the perimeter of the original cemetery. The door, which I said looks like a stone tablet, weighs roughly 1 ton, that's 2,000 pounds, and revolves 360 degrees. This great weight can be pushed open by a young child. During a recent visit, I was able to push the stone open with just 2 fingers. This novel feat of engineering has been a remarkable attraction in the area for the last 150 years. I said before that despite there being about 100 Harmonists buried in the grounds, there is only one tombstone. This tombstone sits against the southern wall. The marker actually predates the wall itself, though there seems to be some debate as to its complete history. It has long been my understanding that the tombstone, which commemorates the life and death of Johannes Rapp, the leader's only son from tuberculosis, it was reluctantly accepted by the group from non-society members around 1812, Johannes having died in July, and it stands as the only exception to the society's practice or lack of practice in marking graves, which it doesn't even really do. It broke towards the base around 1930, 25 years after the Harmonist Society had been dissolved, and it was moved against the wall from its original location where it sits now, and was probably placed randomly from day one. Quite likely the tombstone was given to the society by local Mennonites who had purchased the town when Rapp and his followers would leave for Indiana. Quite likely, this tombstone was paid for by a member of the Ziegler family, a fairly prominent local family who were hired in 1869 to build the wall. In fact, in Harmony and the neighboring town of Zelienople, there are 4 Ziegler Streets, and as a former pizza delivery driver, This was a situation.